Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football and pro wrestling podcast we bring you each and every week. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and of course, drop a like on the video. We would really appreciate it. Joining me, as always, for Thursday Tier Talk on Thursday, my co-host, Darren, the Dazzler. How are we?
Well, good, pal. How are you? I have a little bit of a gripe this evening.
Okay, go on.
It's only a small gripe, but I'm gonna piss and moan about it anyway, Noel.
Let me have it.
I feel like for the quality of the content that goes out on this channel, we don't have the volume of subscribers that we should. Just saying. If I look at some of the absolute hacks that put content out and that have gazillions of subscribers and followers and likes and shares, and we actually talk about a sense about football, and we don't have what I would describe as the following that we should. Just a little gripe I have this evening, Noel.
Very good. No problem at all. No problem. Get that off your chest. You're better off it.
I feel like it. You know when I look, you know that ginger cabbage, the Liverpool fan.
The ginger cabbage.
Yeah, you know the special one. You know your man. That is it, Liverpool. I'm done with you. Oh, you know this absolute walking ball bag.
And he's ginger.
Yeah, he's an ugly ginger. He's Irish as well.
Don't know. Go on anyway.
He has a gazillion subscribers and he's a complete, you know, like what? Am I missing something here? Is the problem we talk too much sense? Is that the problem?
And probably it's not the be all and end all of our life. Like some of these lads after some of these shows sometimes need a wellness check. You know, whereas
this lad needed a wellness check before it kicked off. He's not well. This lad is not well. He's the Liverpool fan. You know, you've seen this lad. You've definitely seen this lad.
I don't know. I probably have seen him, but I can't remember anyway. But sure.
Someone in the chat is going to tell us the name of this.
I know who you're talking about. Are you talking about the guy who used to be with Paddy Murphy, Jonathan Morley?
Don't know. Maybe.
The guy who absolutely loses it.
Loses it.
Yeah. That's Jonathan Morley. He's actually a good lad. Actually, he's actually a good lad. Yeah, he did stuff with Paddy Murphy in the past, and he was doing they were doing a podcast together with Nasty as well for a while.
That's him
as well.
He's a cabbage. He's a cabbage. Yeah. He is a cabbage.
Passion.
He has 30,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
30,000. Anyway,
there you go.
Listen, I don't know whether that says anything about him or the 30,000 lads that are following him. Just saying.
I think Jonathan originally he blew up on TikTok originally. I think if I'm right.
I think he did because it was the reaction thing from the games. Remember week on week, it was like, "What is wrong with you? I am done with you, Liverpool." And the next week, well, big game today, lads. You're like, "What? What are you talking about?"
His player ratings used to be classic,
right?
Yeah, like I think I've seen him give Allison ones and all and stuff.
Give Allison a 1. Allison.
Yeah. I've seen him. Yeah. Right, let's get into the chat. Philip's in. Big up, Philip. Good to see you, pal. Thank you. Joanna's in as always. Big up, Joanne.
Hey, Joanne. Joanne's one of the OGs. There we go.
Is in as well. Speaking about
Caramel.
Speaking of OGs. Yep, the Prem is back this week. There we go. Going to watch a match in the afternoon as I'm decorating when Arsenal play. Don't lie, Joanne. You'll have it on in the background.
Without your talisman as well now. Oh, Kai Havertz, huh? Missing the main man. Imagine a crazy situation. Sorry, I know I haven't stopped talking since I got here. But imagine a crazy situation where you're Arsenal and you envisage yourself in a title race and you start ripping up the book because Kai Havertz is injured. Kai Havertz, if he's having that much effect on what you do, like, am I missing something here?
It's probably more. There was a lot of talk going around during the week that apparently they were all assessed before they went to Dubai, and there was talk that he might have been in the red zone And apparently, if you're in the red zone, because you might have had a bit of a knock or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but apparently, if you're in the red zone, you shouldn't get on a 12-hour flight or a 10-hour flight or whatever it is to Dubai
7.
because whatever it is. But they
And
were saying
closer
you
from
shouldn't
the
be
UK. But anyway.
yeah, they were saying you shouldn't take that flight because it exacerbates it. And then what happens is when you do go train and play, you're more likely to get injured. So that was the talk on around. Now, I don't know if he was in the red zone, but that was the talk on around. But I think,
I mean, here's the thing. Even if he was in the red zone, right, and they decide to bring him, why isn't he in the pool doing stuff? Why isn't he doing stuff with no weight? Why isn't he doing stuff just to keep himself, trending in the right direction?
They probably are, but apparently the other day they turned it up a notch and they started doing heavy press and drills and stuff like that. And apparently that's when he tore the hamstring. From what I read, now I don't know, I'm not there. No.
Strange.
Yeah, very strange. Your man Craig, is that Anfield agenda, Philip? Is it?
There's a lot.
He's down in Arklow. He lost. You want to see his video last night? He started beating the shit out of his desk and everything, and went perplexed.
For some reason there, I thought you were about to say he started beating the shit out of his dog. I did. I don't know why I thought it was going that direction. It just looked like, and you went the dog desk, and I went, oh, yeah. Okay, whoa.
He went in. No, he went in on Michael Oliver, and then he lost it so bad he just started punching the desk like this and all. He was going crazy. Went on a mad one. This man's more. Big up, Ryan's in. Good evening, lads. How are you, Ryan? Good to see you. Looking forward to the game,
If it isn't El Mateus Cunha himself, huh?
There we go. Much better than Mateus Nunes, that's for sure.
Much better than Mateus Nunes.
Won't get into that, as always. Before we start with the Prem, obviously, let's genuflect and reflect on last night. The final Merseyside derby in Goodison. Not without its controversy, I have to say, and not that I'm one that comes on here and cries about decisions and stuff like that, but it's very clear, and not just even last night, that Michael Oliver is incapable of controlling an intense, high-end Premier League game, and he can't control it and loses it, and there's a lot of stupidity stuff then that goes on and things like that and all. Not to say that we weren't silly as well in the way we fed into it. I think once again, like last year, we were kind of allowed ourselves to be a little bit bullied and goaded into a situation that we don't normally feel comfortable in, because, for all our good play and for everything that we do and stuff like that, we're not at that level of shithousery yet, because we're not at that level.
No, but
give me your thoughts.
What the people in the chat and in the listening won't know is, we already spoke about this today, and you did say you felt the draw was a very fair result on the overall game from start to finish. And that took away that, that was outside of the fact you still thought it was a really poor refereeing performance. Because some people are going to listen and go, your man Niall is banging on about Michael Oliver because it's Liverpool. You weren't. And you bang on about Michael Oliver when it's Man United and Spurs, and you bang on about Michael Oliver when it's City and Arsenal. You don't just bang on about him when it's Liverpool. And I mean, there's Ryan. Ryan doesn't have any skin in the game here. He's a Wolves fan. Anybody that watched that game, I'm a United fan. I didn't watch the game live. I watched a rerun of the game, and I think he didn't read the room very well. I think when you put yourself into that atmosphere, I think you can be very clever and you can understand that there's a lot of emotion in a night like last night. You've obviously got the last Merseyside derby at Goodison. You've got David Moyes' first Merseyside derby back at the helm. You've got Liverpool, 6 points clear, trying to stretch that advantage. So there's a lot of tension about the place. Now, Oliver can calm that down with a couple of really clever decisions very early on in the game, but he didn't. He added to the mass hysteria by dishing cards out like it was Valentine's Day. And cheap plug. And he didn't, it wasn't conducive to a good game of football because of it, And if I look at it, there's so many poor decisions last night against Liverpool and against Everton. So really poor decisions. And I think the one thing that I have to agree with what you said is, like, I don't necessarily see Liverpool as a shithouse kind of team, you know. I see Liverpool as one of the top teams in world football. They're a phenomenal football team. They play a great brand of football, a great style of football. They're great to watch, right? But shithousery is nothing I would associate with Liverpool, where I feel like Everton are all aboard the shithouse train.
Yeah.
From Sean Dyche now to David Moyes, I think that's continued on to a degree, although I think Moyes has done a phenomenal job since he's come in. But I do think you got dragged into something that you had no interest or shouldn't have had any interest in getting involved in.
And should have been clever enough to rise above that and
because
not get dragged
your focus was then shifted from winning the game to just keeping up with the same level of shithousery as the boys were doing. Like, they can go and salute all the fans they want in the world. If you're 4-2 up, you know what I mean? Don't let that affect what you're there for. It's kind of like
half the fans were gone home.
Yeah, it's kind of like the analogy of, you know, every boxer has a plan until they get punched in the face, and that's kind of what happened last night for Liverpool.
I was listening to an Everton fan today on TikTok, and I was listening to his TikToks all week in the build up to it, and what he was talking about Goodison and the history and all that kind of stuff. He left, and he came on TikTok today, and he was trying to justify why he left and all this kind of thing. And it's just, to me, forget about it.
I have a special place in my heart for people who leave football grounds. I'm quite regularly one of the last people to leave Old Trafford, whether we win 5-0 or we lose 5-0. For me, it's a happy place. It's a place I have phenomenal memories with my two boys, with my dad and stuff like that. And I just want to be able to soak that in and absorb it for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah.
You know, and like I get to Old Trafford a good bit. I get there quite a few times a season. So it's not something like, you know, you're there once every 4 years, I'm there a decent amount. And I, you know, I still, to me, like, Old Trafford is the Mecca. That's my happy place. That's where I feel most comfortable. So I don't know how any other fan of a football team would feel any different and would be looking to make a beeline out of that ground. That for me is mental. It's crazy.
Yeah. What did you make of the ending of the game? I mean, obviously, like, we can speak about Michael Oliver. Like, we had the Sweet Chin music last year on Macca from Doku. He reffed that game. I think he reffed the Rodri handball game as well. Like, there just seems to be a pattern here with this guy, you know what I mean? And because he's regarded as one of the senior officials,
he's almost regarded as the top official in the country, which is crazy.
Last night, even with the cards, he makes it about himself. Yeah. He tries to become the superstar in the middle of all this. And at the end of the game, and I have to say, I don't know what the Corey was thinking going over giving it to the Liverpool fans, because he's been absolutely dirt for most of this season until the last 3-4 games. They've been in a relegation battle. He's been one of those guys that week in, week out hasn't showed up for them when they've been getting slaughtered on the pitch and stuff like that. And for him to go over and start giving it to the Liverpool fans, and then I was delighted that Curtis Jones went over and grabbed him by the scruff and said, you might give it to us on the pitch and you might have got a draw, but you're not going to give it to our boys in the stand. That's for sure. And he grabbed him. And then he got red carded.
I have to say, I thought it was so stupid from Jones.
Well, you know, in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, but if you play that really clever, right, the likelihood is the FA step in and they fine or ban the Corey anyway for what he's done.
They won't unless it goes on Oliver's report. And it won't go on Oliver's report.
Oliver was going to see it, but when you then again, you get drawn into it. And now all of a sudden, Jones is on a ban as well. And the likelihood is both clubs are going to get called in for failing to keep control of their players and stuff like that, which doesn't have to happen. I think Jones which
ultimately is Oliver's fault.
To a degree, to a degree, absolutely, I agree. So I agree.
He'll get off scot-free. He'll be probably refereeing a game.
He'll get a game at the weekend, 100%
VAR and stuff like that. And we're going to get called in, probably get fined for not controlling our players. Our gaffer ended up getting a red card, and now he's after getting a second game as well. So he's going to miss the Wolves game at the weekend and the Villa game next week, midweek. Okay. Jones is going to miss a game. You know what I mean? And then the Corey obviously is going to miss a game. But I just think, again, all roads lead back to Oliver. He couldn't control the game. He's a disgrace. An absolute disgrace.
He's been very, very poor as a Premier League referee for the last number of years. I think if I think back, hey Del, if I think back, I think he's kind of put himself in that league with, you know, a Howard Webb and a Mark Clattenburg, where it's about, this game isn't about you, and it's not about you, it's about me. And this is where this is how I'm gonna project myself in this game. And I want to make sure that tomorrow morning those headlines don't say Virgil van Dijk, they don't say Salah, they don't say Beto, they don't say Pickford, they say Michael Oliver. And any good referee, for my money, doesn't want to be associated with anything that's gone wrong. So they want that little one in the corner that you can barely read rather than the headline. You know?
See, what bugged me is, all I wanted last night, okay? Obviously, I wanted Liverpool to win. Okay? Of course. I wasn't overly upset at the draw. The manner in which it happened, yeah, but not overly upset. There was a foul on Kanate in the box. A VAR didn't roll it back to look at that. They just looked at the offside clearly. Chris Kavanagh again in the VAR booth as well. Another one of our friends. But it's just, you know, you look at it. I wanted this to be a historic game. That's a historic stadium. Everton are a historic club. They're one half of what makes up what Liverpool as a city and as a footballing thing is. I wanted two teams to go out there. I wanted them to kick the living shit out of each other, football-wise and all. Yeah. I wanted a strong enough referee that would recognise it's a historic derby and at times not be just selective when you want to let stuff go. So you book this guy for this, you don't book this guy for that. You book this guy for this, you don't book him for that, all this kind of thing. You know what I mean? I wanted two teams to have a good go. Bragging rights was on the line, if you like, in terms of the record at the stadium and stuff like that. And all.
Yes.
Not that it's that big a deal. You'd brag about it for a weekend. No one's going to care. You know what I mean? Let's be honest, really. And I just think the selection of him in there was horrific because we know he's all about him. This is the guy who goes out to the Emirates and gets paid in the summer. Truckloads of cash to referee out there and all. We know who's funding that. We know who's behind that. We're not stupid. We know who's dog is getting wagged by the tail here, all this kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it's really, really just frustrating that the last Merseyside derby at Goodison will be remembered for all these cards, all these red cards, all this kind of stuff and all like that, you know? And I get it, Everton, you know, celebrating last gasp equaliser, didn't want to lose at Goodison. And I told you, if Tarkowski had scored with 20 minutes to go and it finished 2-2, I don't think I would have had a problem. You know what I mean? I just don't think I would have a problem. Because I think on the night, I don't think we did enough. I don't think our game management was very good. I didn't see us at any stage in added on time, bringing balls into the corner, trying to get the clock down. We were still trying to get a goal. Mo Salah was definitely, no doubt about it, failed on the edge of the box. Oliver let it go, gave the ball to Everton then. You know what I mean? There's just so much stuff there that just unwinds people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And the thing about in a situation like that, okay, it took off with Jones and Decore and other people got involved, and then Slot lost his mind and all that kind of stuff. Because obviously Arne Slot, he's feeling the pressure of the position that he's in at the moment. He's in a position that he never thought he was going to be in. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And he's feeling the pressure of that. And sometimes it's difficult, as you know, to get over the line. We spoke about momentum. Should he have made the amount of changes at the weekend against Plymouth? Momentum's a very important thing to keep winning going. All those kind of things, and we'll have to learn from them. Try and put in a good showing down at Anfield against Wolves on Sunday. It's going to be a big game. We really need to get the 3 points out of that.
Yeah,
but it's just, I just hate when a game that has so much on the line, not even just the result, but getting enshrined into history. And we've had some great battles with Everton over there, and they've had some great battles with us as well. And for that to be the last one,
yeah, it's been a phenomenal rivalry, and especially when, you know, you look at it and you go, is this what it's going to be remembered as? It is a little bit, you know, I suppose, depending on which side of the fence you sit on, Everton fans may rejoice in the fact that, you know, fittingly for them, it was James Tarkowski who had the final word on the night and was able to score, you know, and it's a great strike, by the way, because generally speaking, you know, he'd fall over standing up. And when the ball dropped to him, I kind of thought, do you know what? This is probably the one player on this pitch that Liverpool would say, we'd like it to drop to Tarkowski. If you had picked any of those boys for that to drop it, he's the guy you would have picked to drop it to, you know, because everybody else you would have thought they've a chance here with the way this is.
He could hit 20 of them and 19 of them end up in the stand.
100%.
Yeah. This was your Maguire chance at Anfield. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's fitting in one sense that's how it's ended. But in another sense, it's poor that, you know, that you look at a game like this and you'll say, do you know what, that wasn't what it could have been based on what the referee did to us and for us, and, you know.
Yeah, I felt angry last night, but it wasn't solely the result. It wasn't that like we had dropped 2 points. It wasn't any of that. It was that 100+ years of history between the two clubs. That's how it finishes off. That's how it ends. And I was just thinking, all those great battles, Neville Southall, all these guys down through the years. You know what I mean? Kenny Dalglish,
Big Nev, Big Dunk,
all those
Dave Watson, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tony Cuddy, the whole.
And you had great referees, even Ali McCoyson, you had great referees there. You know, and even the commentary last night. I listened to the commentary last night on TNT Sports, and it was basically Everton Fan TV. Ali McCoy, I don't know what he's doing. Like, it was the worst thing ever. And it was so bad, I switched over to the American one. And the American one, I had Jim Beglin. And I'm really questioning myself at this stage. Did any of these lads
Jim's a good lad, though, isn't he?
You want to hear him last night, Darren? He was woeful. You swear these guys have never played for Liverpool in their life. Mac is the same on punditry. Steve McManaman. I don't think Steve McManaman ever played for Liverpool the way he approaches his punditry. It's incredible, like, you know what I mean? And it's just, it was so one-sided in the way they were talking about how, you know, Everton's tackle wasn't a foul, and then they talked about Bradley up the other end when he got booked. He got literally booked for nothing. You know what I mean? And it's just, again, the weakness of a referee being shown through and all. But look, listen, we'll move on from it, and it's in the bag now, and nothing can change it, and it's just it's just frustrating, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the part that I understand. You know, there is a frustration because, as you said, there's an opportunity there for things to go a certain way in a game, and it just doesn't sit well when you come off after it and stuff like that. You know, and I get that completely.
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's get into our prime preview. So obviously the first one's in the bag. Don't worry about that because I had the slides. So we start off tomorrow night, Brighton and Chelsea. St. Valentine's Day massacre.
I have to say, I do love an L Friday night game. I do love an L Friday night game. Do you?
I do. Not in my bet though.
Well,
the bet kind of feels like the 12:30 game when you do the Friday game, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it does. But I still think it's something you look at and you think, like,
Spot on, Philip.
I can't. Oh yeah, sorry. I missed it. Yeah, I do like what I'm seeing there. I do like what I'm saying. The Friday night, I do like a Friday night football, especially tomorrow night. I'm not working, but I might have better things to do on Valentine's night than watch Brighton and Chelsea kick 7 bells out of each other. I might, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll watch it. Who knows? Tune in to find out next week.
Let us know as well in the chat, folks, because it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. Let us know what's the most romantic thing you've either booked or purchased for your wife for Valentine's Day. Let us know. Or your girlfriend. Or your bit of squeeze on the side. Whatever it is.
So we've got or your boyfriend.
Or your boyfriend.
Or your boyfriend, if you're that way inclined. Now, here's something I have to say. And I love this. I've been watching a lot lately. And, you know, obviously, I'm a bit fascinated by Americans. I just think they're deadly. Because I have the whole American culture thing. You know, we're big wrestling fans. We like some of the American sports and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot lately where I've seen men and women in the States, and they talk about their husband and their boyfriend, or their wife and their girlfriend, where they've got the two, but like they're very open about this. And I'm like, whoa, 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 this is, do you know, have you seen this?
Yeah, yeah.
This is becoming very, very prevalent. And it's like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on here, lads? This is a bit crazy. This is a bit fucking nuts, you know? I don't know. It's a different one.
Are we jealous?
Absolutely not. There's only one woman for my heart, I can tell you.
There we go. There we go. Right, Brighton, Chelsea.
Brighton and Chelsea. They say lightning doesn't strike twice. I think it will tomorrow. Because Brighton are obviously on the back of a win last week in the FA Cup at home to Chelsea. And I get the feeling we could see it again.
Okay.
I think there's a couple of problems there at Chelsea at the minute. Not necessarily just on the injury front. I also think there's a couple of little issues behind the scenes where, you know, maybe guys aren't happy with certain situations at the club or game time that's been given and stuff like that. And I think, you know, the man management issue at the minute is kind of rearing its head a little bit for one Enzo Maresca. And I think Brighton are going to get over the line here. And I'm going to say Brighton 2-1.
Okay. What was last week's scoreline? Same, was it?
2-1, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where I'm going with it, to be honest with you.
Okay. Interesting. Chelsea as well need to pick up a few wins in the league as well, don't they?
They really do. Yeah, they 100% do.
Because there's a lot of sharks at the moment in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, prowling around that top 4 race.
And you know what? It could even come from somebody outside of that where, you know, and I'm not suggesting it's us, but I do think somebody could come on a run. It might be a Bournemouth, it might be a Newcastle, it might be.
I spoke about it with Mark on Monday, and I said to Mark, how cool would it be if we had Forest and Bournemouth in the Champions League? How cool would that be?
It would be very, very cool. Yeah, I have to agree. That would be very cool.
But you see, the thing about it as well is if your own team doesn't make it and isn't in it, say, it's nice to have a team that you can follow in it. And wish well.
And like Aston Villa were that team this year.
Yeah.
Aston Villa were that team. They were that plucky kind of team that I would have looked at and gone, I wouldn't mind seeing Villa do too badly. And that's where we are with it, you know. So I think I'd be happy enough with that, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Big up, Romy. Good to see you, my friend.
Romy with a huge win the other night, Romy. I was in work and obviously I was trying to keep tabs on what was going on and stuff like that. And I checked the phone and I think it was 2-0 City or 2-1?
It was.
I'm going to say it was 2-1 when I checked it anyway.
2-1, yeah.
I think it was and then, 2-1. Of course, I check in a few minutes later and it's 2-2. And then, of course, I check in a few minutes later and it's 3-2. And I just think all good things come to those who wait. Isn't that what they say? Just delightful. And I know there was another gentleman in our WhatsApp group that was having a tremendous night on Wednesday when this was going down as well. Was it Wednesday? It was Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Our buddy.
Our pal. Absolutely. It was going down on Tuesday now, I have to tell you.
Absolutely. And you know something? He wasn't too happy originally because it was looking very much like City.
It was looking very different. Yeah, that's right. It was looking very, very different. But
it was such a conundrum for me because obviously being a Liverpool fan, it's very hard for me to pull for either. And if I'm a Liverpool fan, I kind of want Real Madrid out of there.
Well, do you? Because
they're a bogey team. I know we beat them in the league, the table earlier and stuff like that and all. You know what I mean? But Mbappe's kind of found himself, and you know as Madrid go on, they get better and better throughout the season. You know?
I think when Madrid get to the quarterfinals, it's when they start smelling blood, and they realise we're all of a sudden in a quarter. we're 5 games from lifting another one of our trophies. And
If you
fucking zoom in on it and home in on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, Jesus Christ, man, what happened here?
And as bad as they are at times, they just sometimes find a way. And I'm telling you now, if I'm sitting here now and you tell me in the semis or the quarters or whatever it is, I don't know who we can draw. If you offer me Real Madrid or Man City and they're my 2 options.
You want Man City all day long and twice on a Sunday.
Legs.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Absolutely.
I don't want any part of Real Madrid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah. Leicester, Arsenal? Oh, yeah, before we go, the Man City banner, did you see it?
I did.
The big one with the Ballon d'Or?
Yeah.
I ain't rolling that out till full time if we win. There's no way I'm popping that out.
Well, here's the thing. I think you've got too much class to roll that out at all.
But even if I did, I'm not going to try and shit house Real Madrid right from the get-go.
I don't think you're doing it at all, because I think you've a little more respect about you than that. I think that says as much about them absolute degenerates that inhabit the fucking empty head, if you know what I mean.
And we're Rodri fans, which makes it worse.
Oh, we are.
You know,
we are. And if anything has shown over the last year to 18 months, when we were like Rodri, he obviously goes and wins the Ballon d'Or and then gets injured, and you watch City fall to pieces without him, you know. And that's the one thing I would say. And I always think about this and I know this is probably a crazy thing to say, you know, when I'm thinking about my own team and I'm thinking about how things aren't working very well for us at the minute and blah, blah, blah. If you look at somebody like a Rodri and the effect that he has on a Manchester City, the right signing can get you so much out of so many different players on the pitch, you know, and you could only be 1 or 2 away from being back at it very, very quickly, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. We did it with Alisson and Van Dijk.
Yeah, well, they were the final pieces of your puzzle, though. Do you know? Like they were the cherries for you guys, but that was good.
They got a pen
recruitment there.
Yeah, they got a pen to make it 2-1. Yeah, absolutely. And I heard people dispute it was a pen. It was a pen. We're not going to do that. City and Madrid both don't have a defense at the moment.
Yeah, I think the difference being Madrid are missing a number of players. City have a lot of players there, but for some reason have just forgotten how to defend.
Yeah, whereas I think it's Diaz and all. You'd Ruben Diaz. Look,
there's no, you know.
Look at the 2 goals they gave away. I mean, the last one with Jude Bellingham was John Stones on the wrong side of Jude.
Yeah, and like that, obviously Real have Valverde playing right back and stuff like that, and they're still missing another centre back, and it's a huge issue with injuries there for them. But I don't think the issue's there with City. That's just lads not knowing their jobs, or not doing the right thing, or there's a little bit of they become a bit lackluster at City over the last little while with defending. It's something that they don't look like they're enjoying as much as they used to, you know.
Yeah, I definitely look round me. I recognise Jude Bellingham. I recognise his quality and I recognise how good he is. But forgive me, I find it hard to cheer for him. It's just out of look, jealousy and disappointment. Same with Chio Many. I know how good they are. I just wish 1 or 2 of them would end up in a red jersey sometimes.
I think the boy Bellingham just has a very special touch about him.
There's a swagger. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows how good he is.
Which, for like a kid, is he 21 now?
Probably, I'd say he must be, yeah.
I think he's 21. Now, maybe I'm wrong here. But for a kid at that age, it feels like he's around forever, obviously, because of, him being... He's 21. He's 21 on the button. And with him, he's around since he's 15, 16 in that Birmingham City team, and then he headed over to Dortmund, and then he's headed to Madrid, and he's just built, and it's just about levels. And even if you look at what he did at the World Cup and stuff last year, or the Euros last year for England, he's a serious footballer, the kid. He's really is. He's the one thing I love about him is, and this is the difference between being a good footballer and a very good footballer, he always seems to arrive in the right moments. it's always those. It's it's the Etihad the other night. It's 2-2. It's late in the game. It's Jude Bellingham. It's England in the Euros, extra time. We're on the way out. We could go. It's Jude Bellingham, and he just keeps making these magical moments, and you're thinking it's like he's writing his own script or something. This lad,
Yeah, and you can see, something? You can see how much he loves his football. You can see how much he loves being on the pitch, but you can also see that burning desire to win, to be a winner, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just he just has the whole lot. He's a great looking kid. He's really marketable. He's a really, really good footballer. He's at Madrid, and remember last season at times he carried Madrid at times. And
as a number 9, he carried when they'd no striker. Ancelotti played him up front as a false 9, and he did a job. Yeah. I just think if you put the gloves on him, he'd do something in goal as well. He's just one of them. I am a fan, I have to say.
Just a winner. The Corey nearly started riding the Mersey. Yeah, I was hoping, Romy, that Jones would go in and hit him with one of those Braun Breaker spears like I show speed. That's what I was hoping was going to happen. I mean, if you're going to get a red card, get it for a good reason. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest. Curtis Jones was never going to tackle the Corey. It was always going to be handbags with Curtis, because if that came to a scrap, there's only one winner there.
I don't know. Curtis looks like one of those guys that at Chevy and Stanley Park.
Curtis looks like he wears a shell tracksuit and a dangly bracelet around his wrist when he goes out. Get a hobby, Curtis.
He does like to wear those big baggy jeans and stuff. And
all you want to check yourself out, Curtis. Check yourself out the door, pal.
Absolutely. We're not shocked at that at all, Romy. That wouldn't surprise us. We're not expecting anything different.
Absolutely.
I think Ruben Diaz is a bit overrated. He had one good season. He had more than one good season. For me, he's not in the same league as Virgil van Dijk. Well,
he's absolutely not in the same league as Virgil van Dijk. I think the one thing with Diaz is, on his day, he's a top centre half. I think what's happened at City over the last 18 months is he's been a bit part player because of injury. And generally, when he's come in, he hasn't been able to get the run of games, to find his rhythm, to find his form, and he's been injured again, and he just can't seem to get it moving. But
and it's continued to makeshift and change. He has different partners beside him all the time.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, like I don't see that as the big problem. I just think the problem is, he plays 3 games and then he's gone for 6 weeks. He plays 3 games and he's gone for 6 weeks. He comes in, he goes out. He comes in. It's so tough to do in any position. But his name for me, and I'm a Man United fan, should never be mentioned in the same sentence as Virgil van Dijk. Not in the same sentence.
Yeah. Vinicius Jr. is Madrid's star player.
He's tops. He's tops.
He's very good, but I don't think star player. I think they have a lot of star players. There's a lot of stars in that team. Jude with the Irish passport.
Not going to do us any good.
We do mess up, don't we, in those things? Jones looks like Vicky Pollard from Little Britain.
Nailed it.
Oh, man, I was being nice to you there. God help you if Man City knock you. Fantastic there. That demolition signing, new WWE Legends Deal, Hall of Fame, WrestleMania 41. I didn't say it and I didn't hear it, but I'd be very, very happy. And I hope if they're going to do that as well, I would hope they would include Crush as well.
They've got to do the 3 with the hoods and all, don't they?
I would have thought so.
As a 3-pack, like we get now with the Evolution and all of that. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
nice cool for the lads as well.
Anyway, let's go back to Premier League. Leicester versus Arsenal.
Yeah, I suppose on any other day of the week, I think Arsenal win this game. But I just wonder, have they got the goals in them? With what's missing? Are we watching them go in the weekend with, Martinelli, Trossard and Nweri? Is that where we're going?
No, it's probably going to be Sterling, isn't it? Because I don't think Martinelli's back yet.
So, you're going in with Sterling, Trossard and Nweri. So you've one guy on the way up, you've one guy on the way down, and you've one guy who never got there. They'll probably blitz Leicester now with me saying this. But it's hard to win league titles when that's what you're dealing with. I got to be honest with you. Like,
if that's what they're dealing with at the weekend, Gabriel's going to have to score, or Odegaard's going to have to score. The goals are going to have to come from somewhere else, aren't they?
Who did you say?
Odegaard.
Hold that for later.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Hold that.
What did you
later.
sit on the? Did you sit on the fence on this one, or did you go with Arsenal?
I'll tell you now. I actually think I didn't sit on the fence. I'll go Arsenal.
Okay.
I'll go Arsenal.
Right.
Yeah, I'll go Arsenal.
Aston Villa versus Ipswich.
This has Aston Villa written all over for me.
All
day long.
And by a few.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
This could be the Marcus Rashford coming out party.
It absolutely could, you know. And you know, it's funny you should say that as well, because
I don't mean that way either.
No. And you know what? I want you to keep that for later too, actually. So
am I reading the room here? Am I?
Yeah, you're doing a good job. It's not necessarily I'll just keep it for later, and we'll touch on that. Yeah, I think this is Villa, but I do think Ipswich will score. I've gone for Villa and both score. I think 3-1 maybe. Okay. 3 to 4-1.
Okay. Fulham, Nottingham Forest.
Sorry, just before we go on past Villa. Sorry, I was leaving there, but big shout out to the boy Morgan Rogers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big shout out. I spoke about this kid when he was at Middlesbrough, and I spoke about how there was a kid playing for Middlesbrough, and he was ripping it up in the Championship, and he was going to be looked at, and somebody was going to take a punt. Now, he was obviously involved with Man City at one stage, and he went to Middlesbrough, and now he's gone from Middlesbrough to Villa. He will absolutely be in the England squad when they name it eventually. And he's a super footballer. He's a smashing kid. His work rate is phenomenal out there. He's got bags of talent, and he's just an all-round good player. And I love seeing good news stories, and Morgan Rogers is one of them.
I don't think they will, Keith. I don't think they will.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not for me. Not with what they have at the minute, because don't forget, like, you've got Endrick as a 9 as well. And he's struggling for game time because he's being cock-blocked by Mbappe. And then you've got Vinny on one side, and then you've got, Rodrigo on the other, and you've got Bellingham in behind, and you've got Arda Güler there as well. And I think it's too much. I think if we see anything, we'll probably see a big signing come in and try and take that Luka Modric role.
Los Blancos would never tolerate his lack of work rate. They would go in on him. The least they expect is that you work hard.
The only thing I will say about that is, if you watched Haaland when he played at Dortmund, he wasn't as obsolete as he is now. Like, he got way more involved. He looked like an all-round, even though he was younger, he looked like an all-round better footballer. He was far more involved in the build-up. He was far more involved in holding the ball up and laying the ball off, in making runs, and, taking channels and doing all of this. But for some reason at Manchester City, Pep Guardiola has just given him carte blanche and said, you don't do a thing other than put the ball away when it comes to your feet. And he's gone. Sound works for me.
You know what they say about when you sleep in silk sheets?
Yeah.
I don't say it anyway. Walker's cheese and onion. At Keith series. I'll take Sesko. No, you wouldn't.
You would. Yeah, you would.
Well, maybe over him. Yeah, absolutely. But
but like, you'll absolutely take the boy Sesko. He's going to be a superstar, man.
Malin for Villa is quality. It's Spurs defence on strengths. Look, everyone has Spurs defence on strengths.
I was going to say, that's not really one for your CV, is it?
yeah, absolutely. Keith, I wouldn't rule out a Leicester draw or a sneak a winner from Vardy.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't rule out a draw. I don't think Leicester will win it. I wouldn't rule out a draw, but I think Arsenal will nick it.
Hendrick needs a loan to get minutes. We'll take him if you want to loan him out. No problem.
We could do it in 9. We'll absolutely take him.
Right,
Although we don't know what way we'll send them back to you.
Yeah, Fulham Forest.
This
could be game of the weekend, actually.
This should be a really, really good game. Fulham playing really, really well at home. However, aren't taking their chances and are being punished quite regularly over it. And we know Forest are very good at the back. They're solid and they will create chances on the counter-attack, which is something that maybe some of the other teams haven't been able to do against Forest or against Fulham. I think this has Forest and Fulham. I think this has Forest written all over, to be honest with you. I really do.
Interesting.
Which I think will be a big result for Forest to keep them pushing. And I'm going to go Forest 2-1.
Okay. City Newcastle. Are we getting an upset?
Quite possibly. There's obviously going to be a little bit of a kickback from midweek, isn't there? Newcastle flying high, making it to the Carabao Cup final. And then you've got City kind of going out on their sword against Real the other night. One team's going to be looking forward to this game and the other team probably won't be overly looking forward to it. I think Newcastle will cause a lot of trouble at City. And I think there will be lots of goals.
Is the Champions League return legs, is it next week or is it the week after?
I think it's the week after.
Okay.
I think there's a week between from what I know.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 2-2. I'm gonna go Desmond. Bishop 2-2.
Okay. Southampton Bournemouth.
Southampton Bournemouth, yeah. There's kind of only one winner here, isn't there?
I think they'll make a game of it, but I think they'll eventually wilt.
So they'll absolutely make a game of it, which they have almost every week with the boy Juric in charge.
Yeah.
And he's done a really good job of making him a little more solid, a little more compact, making him more of an attacking threat and stuff like that. And credit to him. But I just think Bournemouth will have too much firepower, even without the two strikers, even without the two number 9s. I think they'll have too much. And I'm going to go Bournemouth here, 2-1 Bournemouth away from home.
Acers are saying Champions League is next week. So
he might be right,
And if he is right, then how do City approach the Newcastle game?
Well, hang on, let me have a look at Wednesday.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, Romy.
He's right,
Yeah.
He's right. Well, then, do you know what I'm going to do?
You're going to go for Newcastle
my prediction. I'm going for Newcastle. Sure.
That's why I asked the question. Yeah, we're big Iriola fans here on this podcast for sure. That's for sure.
Huge Iriola fans. Huge. I read it. Not that I read. I saw something the other day about Andoni Iriola, and it was about all the players he had played with. Did you see this?
No.
And there was a list of players, and I was just like, wow. So from his time at, he was obviously a Spanish international.
Yeah.
So he would have played with Fernando Torres, Iniesta, Xavi. He also played for Bilbao. So he would have played with the boy Iñaki Williams. He then went to New York City, where he would have played with Frank Lampard, Andrea Pirlo, David Villa. And you're just looking at this, Iker Casillas, all these guys, you're just like, wow, this is just a plethora of talent. So isn't any wonder that he's turned out the way he has, having played with that kind of caliber of player, He obviously learned quite a lot.
And a lot of different styles he's played in, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, is there a case to be made? Again, I'm not starting an argument here, but is there a case to be made that Andrea Pirlo, Iniesta, and Xavi are three of the best midfielders to ever play the game? I think there is. But all very, very different players. You've Xavi wants to make that short pass, tic tac, keep the ball moving. Even Iniesta likes to get the ball at his feet and kind of sidewind and go inside and go outside and commit players and stuff like that. And then you have Andrea Pirlo, who likes to sit in the pocket and just ping it about like he's fucking, Eli Manning. And it's just like, it's unbelievable,
Yeah, absolutely. Spurs doing a process against Levy at the game with Man United.
I believe Ange has asked him to reconsider that, hasn't he?
I kind of, in somewhat I get it and somewhat I don't get it. It's not like they haven't spent money, and it's not like they haven't delivered an unbelievable stadium, and it's not like he has absolutely delivered to rinse every single penny out of that stadium that he can. I get some of it, but if you're judging him on his position in Spurs as a company, as opposed to a football fan on a terrace, he has gotten you probably the best stadium in the Prem, I would say.
I would say there's an argument for the world.
There you go.
I would say there's an argument for it. Now I know obviously the new Madrid,
I think when I looked at the spending table, they're one of the highest spenders. So it's not like they're not spending money.
No.
So I don't know. Spurs is just such a weird one to try and put your finger on it, isn't it? It's just like, what I mean?
I think I'll tell you where I see the issue with Spurs, right? And we'll just do this really quickly. And part of it is attached to the salary and to, the levels that they will go to for players, right? Because when you have a structure, a wage structure, and this being a Liverpool fan, it's very, very difficult at times to sit at the top table if you're not willing to put the big stakes out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Spurs go and they spend reasonable amounts of money on decent players, but they don't end up with best in class, let's say. And because of that, it's very hard to, they end up with a guy that's, say, third or fourth choice in the position and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And they're good players, and they're always players that we like, and we mention their names and blah, blah, blah. But they're not the cream. They're not the cream. And because of that, because they don't pay the wages that would, put them into that conversation. Do you know what I mean?
I get you, but the problem I have with that is, if you have a player out there who's the cream, the likelihood is you're going to be going up against potentially Arsenal, Chelsea, United,
Liverpool,
Man City,
Barca,
Madrid, Barca, Bayern, PSG, whatever it is, Juventus, whoever you want to name.
Even more of a reason why they should be putting the bait out in order to catch the big fish, but they don't.
But it's the problem. I think the biggest problem with Spurs is sometimes they find it difficult to accept where their position is in the football tree. And I think they have a kind of a basis out there, like a fulfillment kind of thing about themselves and stuff like that, and a lack of acceptance. Now, listen, they shouldn't be like 15th in the table or anything like that.
No, we know that's an anomaly based on the season they've had, with injuries and stuff
absolutely.
Like that. Here's something that some of the people in the chat aren't going to like, but I am absolutely fine with upsetting people. Do you think Spurs are the North London equivalent of Arsenal? Is there a bit of that going on as well? Because Arsenal like to see themselves as a big club, and they like to chest out and that kind of way.
Do you know how I compare it? I think Spurs are the AEW of football. I think they should be AEW Monday Night Dynamite, but they actually aren't, and they won't be, and they don't have the ability to be. I still don't think in our lifetime, in my lifetime, in your lifetime, I don't see Spurs going to be that hugely successful team. I think they'll come at times and be a very good team. I think at times they'll sign good players and stuff like that. But it's kind of the frustration that I had with Liverpool throughout the 90s and the 2000s stuff. And we won trophies, but we never did enough to be that team. You know, that kind of way.
It's very tough to be that team, though.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
you know, the level of competition is phenomenal to be that team.
Yeah.
Because you look at it there, and as we go down, you know, Liverpool vying to be that team, Chelsea, Arsenal, Villa, Forest, Newcastle and City, you know, United, like they're all vying to be that team. So, and there can only be one. And that's, you know, that's why you've always got so many sections of different clubs, you know, in the mire because we're not where we feel like we should be. And well, where do you see yourself? Because like in the pecking order, Spurs aren't necessarily up there with a lot of what we've just mentioned there.
Yeah. And then of course you have that overbearing mentality. That mentality that you should be up there and you should be challenging and you should be doing all these things, and you're there going, well, no, not really.
So would Spurs be better playing the plucky underdog part?
For me, absolutely. I think sometimes you have to sit back and, you know, I did a lot of soul searching in the 90s and the 2000s with Liverpool. You know what I mean? And it took me an awful long time to get over what we were in the 80s through the 90s and have an acceptance that we were simply second, third, fourth, or fifth at that stage. And that's tough.
And look some in of those seasons you were doing well to be there.
Absolutely. And you know something? It takes a long time to look in that mirror and go, well, we are what we are.
Yeah.
This is what we are. And I think that's where the struggle is. I think Spurs fans, they got to that Carabao Cup League final, League Cup final, and they sacked Jose and they brought in
I think
Ryan
obviously
Mason,
the big opportunity at Spurs. Yeah, the big opportunity at Spurs was when Poch was there. And when he had Kane and Son, and you know, that was the time to go and do something if you were going to do it.
But like, I'd love someone to tell me protest against Levy. Like if I look at Levy's position,
he's a phenomenal owner. He's phenomenal. He is phenomenal.
He has gigs there nearly every week. He has NFL there. He has Formula One. There's go-karting. There's everything there. There's more. If there was ever a guy who was after picking up a towel full of water and he's wringing it out into the basin, well, all our stadiums tend to sit back and not do it.
Ours does museum tours for 16 quid a head.
Yeah, well, this guy's doing Beyonce gigs and booking extra dates. And I know Spurs don't want to hear about that kind of stuff because they turn around and go, oh, well, that money doesn't feed down into transfers. But it feeds down into somewhere. Someone picks up the tab for the stadium. You know what I mean? And I just think it's just so weird. You know what I mean? It's just, and the problem is because obviously the Spurs fans are so disappointed. It's kind of, they don't know where to turn or where to go. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, right. You know what I mean? It is.
Yeah, it's strange. It is.
For years, I've looked at them. I go back to Ozzy Ardiles days, Jurgen Klinsmann days, all these days. Still can't figure them out. Chris Waddle, still can't figure them out. You know what I mean? It's just, they've always just been Spurs.
And they've had, like to think back, right? You remember coming off the back of USA 94, Jurgen Klinsmann was up there with the absolute cream in world football, right? And they go and they sign him. And they've Klinsmann, and they've Teddy Sheringham, and they've Gary Mabbitt, and they've, Ian Walker, Eric Thorstvedt goalkeepers, and they've Stephen Carr, and they've lots of good Sol Campbells.
I remember, Darren, I rember Clive Allen there being Golden Boot, won the Golden Boot and set the record back then.
Yeah, and it's just, it's just, there's always pieces of the puzzle, but we never actually get to see what the whole picture looks like for some reason.
Entire linked with boy in Tottenham.
Would be a great will be a great deal for Qatar, I have to say. If you look at a London-based club,
location,
and obviously they've got the bones of a really good squad there, and they've got one of, if not the best, stadiums in world football.
they have
Like, it's all,
infrastructure.
everything's set up for them. Everything is set up there.
If you bring in
Yeah.
Qatar in there, and they're going to throw the bag at the squad, then we're potentially in a different conversation.
Yeah.
And
I have to tell you. Well, listen, here's the thing. I think no matter who you replace Harry Kane with, it's going to be a step down. So I don't have a huge issue with that. Like, you've sold the crown jewels. You don't necessarily sell it to replace it with Solanke. You sell it because you're going to do things slightly differently, and you're going to put different pieces in the puzzle. And like, if I look at Spurs at the minute, there's a lot to like about Spurs, and I've said this for weeks. I know the results haven't been there. The boy Kulusevski is an absolute fucking baller, right? He's a baller. Son, we know about Son. He's been one of the best players in the league for a number of years. Solanke, when fit and firing, is a big threat. He's a number 9. He's a goal scorer. For me, the boy Bergval has been phenomenal since he came in. There's some guys, we know Romero and we know Van de Ven are excellent when they're fit and able. Spence has come in and played because of, he's got game time under his belt because of the injuries and stuff. He's done great. Udogie will come back in as well. Porro. For me, the biggest issue with Spurs is that little triangle in the middle. That plays behind there. I think Sarr, Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison, they're all a little bit shy.
And not only that, again, another focal point in the team that's constantly changing all the time.
Yeah, and just, I don't think they're up to the standard that Spurs want to be at. Because if I look at Spurs, and at the back, obviously, you got the boy Kinski, he's a decent keeper, and Vicario. They've got defenders if they're fit. They've obviously brought in Kevin Danso as well as Dragusin, as well as Romero and things. So they got 4 decent centre halves now. They've 2 fullbacks on either side. They've wingers. They've got Mikey Moore. They've got Johnson. There's a lot going on here. But the midfield, the triangle in midfield, is just miles away from where it needs to be. It's miles away, and I think that's where they'll look to do damage in the market come the summer. They'll look for 2 centre midfielders. They'll look for a 6, a holding 6, and they'll look for an 8 that goes and gets on the front foot and tries to drive them on,
Mark sent me a message on this tonight. He was bigging up the boy Noonan.
Yes.
At Shamrock Rovers, and he scored tonight on his debut.
He's apparently
16.
He's apparently the youngest ever goal scorer in a UEFA competition.
Phenomenal.
He took the record from one Romelu Lukaku tonight, I believe.
There we go.
So I believe.
There we go. Question for you guys. With everyone talking about Virgil van Dijk and Salah and Trent contract running down, why is nobody talking about KDB and Son contract expiring at the end of the season as well? I'll tell you why they're not, because KDB is a shadow of the player he was, and Son is a shadow of the player that he was, and Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah are probably having the best season they've had in Liverpool. So that's why I would put that out there, Keith. That's the
everyone talking about. Why is nobody talking about it? They're not. The KDB is absolutely on the way down at 110%, and Son has been at a level for so long that the only way is to go down. He's probably leveled off for now. He's not going to go back and reach the heights that he has. Whereas Van Dijk is still there, Salah is still there, Trent is still young. It's completely different for me.
And remember, Kane exiting the building as well was always going to have a massive impact on Son, because as a tandem they were unbelievable.
Now, don't get me wrong, I would happily take the boy Son in the window on a free. and give him a nice little signing on fee and a nice little. It doesn't look like that's the way we're going to go with things. We're looking younger, fitter, stronger, stretchier. The whole, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't take him on a free and put him into one of those 10 positions and let him flourish, shall we say?
Yeah, I don't even know whether it's that or not. I mean, Poch was there for a while, and I mean Conte. We spoke about when Conte and Mourinho went in there, and we thought they were never a fit for Spurs.
No.
And then obviously Ange has gone in there, started out really well last season, and then came unstuck.
The one thing I would want to know from a Spurs point of view, and I know you kind of touched on this a few minutes ago. Spurs like to play a certain type and brand of football, right? So, give me, if you're a Spurs fan, is it substance you want, or is it, because if you want a certain brand of football, we'll put someone in charge for you, and you'll get that brand of football, right? But if it's trophies you want, you're probably going to have to go a different way. Who's this?
I don't know.
Is this my pal Al who was in school with me? It might be,
Might be.
It might be.
Don't be slurping that straw down. The mic come out.
Sorry, Al. Apologies, pal.
You'd hit the bottom of it.
I need to top it up again.
The money Spurs wasted on managers, they could have given Poch the money after
Absolutely.
the final.
Absolutely. That was. Wasn't that your argument with Liverpool? When you were on top, you didn't invest.
Exactly. That's what elite clubs do. Remember, Alan Sugar was complaining when he had to pay players when they were injured.
Very funny man, though, isn't he, Alan Sugar?
Yeah. Don't forget, Spurs had David Ginola as well in the 90s.
Absolutely.
And he was a great player as well. Absolutely.
He sure was. Remember that goal against Barnsley in the FA Cup? Remember, picked it up at the halfway line, went inside, outside, dropped the shoulder, and then tucked it in.
We were Brendan Johnson fans, weren't we? Kid runs like a PS1 character.
I like Johnson. He's another one of those guys puts a shift in.
He has one of those mushes as well that looks like Minecraft, doesn't he?
The square.
Not far wrong. Yeah, he's 8-bit, isn't he? He's 8-bit,
yeah,
Romy, that's for sure. Yeah, he's 8-bit, that's for sure, yeah. The stage Ange has left Poirot. I don't want him. Yeah, I'm a Poirot fan, I have to say. Son now, the MLS is his level. Yeah. Sad to say, he's been it's mad to think he'll spend a decade there and not win one piece of silverware.
It's actually criminal.
It is criminal.
A huge fan of his, I have to say. He's been phenomenal since his move from Bayer Leverkusen all those years ago. An absolute pleasure to watch in the league. One of those guys that, regardless of what team you supported, you always went, I like that guy. What
we call a consummate pro.
100%.
Never a problem, never a complainer, just gets on with it. Right, let's finish out this Premier League preview anyway. West Ham versus Brentford. Tough game.
Yeah, I'm going to go draw.
I'm
going to go draw. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going to get splinters this time. I'm only going to go draw. I watched Brentford away a couple of weeks ago at Crystal Palace, and they somehow beat Palace. But I think West Ham under Potter are looking a little bit better. And I think we might see a couple of goals and a draw. I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, Jellyfish Potter isn't doing too bad.
He's doing all right.
Palace versus Everton. Palace 10-0. Mateta with 8 on the day. I'm just going to put that out there now. I wanted to break the Premier League record and everything and all.
Yeah, it doesn't fit though, because Palace usually have those performances away from home, like Old Trafford and Anfield, just to hurt people like me and you. At home, they aren't as good, even though Selhurst Park isn't an easy place to go.
But don't we know, with the way things go, don't we know Palace are going to go out and beat these 4-1?
Do I get splinters again, or do I? Go on. 1-0.
Liverpool versus Wolves. Don't know if Ryan is still in there or not.
I bet Ryan is still here because he's one of the OGs, our pal Ryan. 3-1 Liverpool.
Lovely. And Spurs versus Man United.
That is really like tossing a coin, isn't it? Which version of Spurs shows up? Which version of United shows up on the day? This could literally be 3-0 either side or nil all.
Ryan, give us your prediction if you're still here. Don't let us just do the work.
Told you he was here. Knew he was here. He's a good lad, Ryan.
He's in the background. He was making the tea and having a biscuit. Okay, well, pull it this way. If you're going to call this, let's suppose the worst version of Spurs we've seen this season and the worst version of United shows up.
2-1 United.
Yeah, they nick it right at the death, don't they?
I think we nick it. Just and only because I think we're better at I went 3-1 Liverpool as well. I just think we're slightly better at home at the minute. Because we're playing a little more on the counter-attack. We sit a little bit deeper. We try and play on the bounce. Whereas at Old Trafford, we far too much of the ball and we have no idea what to fucking do with it.
Slightly more fortuitous, I would say. But yeah, interesting. So that's it. Premier League roundup, our Premier League preview done.
That only took an hour and 10 minutes, in fairness.
I know, but we had a lot to talk about. This is what
we
happens. Did. We get distracted. We start talking about Valentine's and
everything. Right, yeah.
Give us your quick fire calls for this. Cork versus Galway starting this weekend.
Cork versus Galway. Cork.
Shelbourne versus Derry.
Big game for the first one back. I'll go draw.
Pats versus Drogheda. By the way, we allocated St. Pat's to Ryan this season. Ryan wanted the team to follow. So we gave him Pats.
Good man, Ryan.
Yeah, we gave him Pats, so he was delighted. Good pick.
Yeah, Pats. I think Pats all day long and twice on a Sunday.
Sligo Rovers versus Waterford.
Sligo.
And Bows versus Rovers. India Viva. Nearly 30,000 tickets sold.
I think it's going to be Bows because I imagine if the return leg on the Real Arsenal or a Real City game was next Wednesday, I'm sure the return leg for Rovers is also next week.
Yeah, because the draws are next Friday.
It's next Thursday. So I imagine Rovers will probably send out somewhat of a weakened team, having got an amazing result tonight away from home at Molde, and they'll try and get everyone fit for Thursday night to see them through to the knockouts, which would be absolutely off the charts, by the way. And I think Balls will take advantage of that and they'll beat them.
Okay, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted from you. Right, shall we do a bit of beat the bookie?
Sure, let's.
Here, first of all,
I've done some tonight, by the way. Just so you know, it's the good news.
Wolves do a FIFA and forfeit the game to a 3-0 loss. Wouldn't we gas if we could do that? Should have the new signings in for this game. So much better physicality in the team.
Ryan, do you know who I like? I have to just click in here. I'll tell you who I like, and I'm gonna try and not.
Is it a signing they brought in?
Yes, the Agbadou. That's him. He's a centre back. I think they brought him in from France, paid about 16 million. He's played as the left-sided centre back in the three, and he is an absolute. Have you seen this kid?
Big dude, is he?
He's got cornrows, but he must be 6'3", 6'4", and he is built like a brick shithouse.
Does he wear Vaseline on his arms? Just asking for the crowd out there.
He doesn't. He doesn't. Yeah. No, not for the looks of it. No. He is a big bugle, I have to tell you.
It wouldn't be the first Wolves tank we took care of, just saying.
Well, listen, we have a little midget Argentinian lad that takes care of him twice a season. But this is a big lad. He's a good centre back, this lad. Do you know what I'd actually say? He's got a better end product than the other boy you were talking about.
That wouldn't be hard. I think
even as a left-sided centre back, yeah.
Yeah, seems to be playing with more freedom at Fulham though, but still, I don't know. Some of the Vaselines up their arms before going out is strange to me. Just saying. Right.
Could be worse. Could be like our goalkeeper and put Vaseline on his gloves, which I find very strange.
Yeah, that's a weird one as well, isn't it?
Have you seen him do it?
Yes.
He has a full tub on the outside of the post, and when they go up the other end, he opens it, takes a dab, goes again. every time, and you're like, pal,
Hand goes
couldn't
down
be.
into
You
hand goes
could
down into the
not.
shorts.
You could not be putting this much Vaseline on your gloves. Like, what are you doing? Jesus.
Maybe he wants the ball to stick to his hands when he saves it. Does it? That like maybe it's Gorilla Glue and it's not Vaseline at all. There we go. As Holden said about Adama, how do you expect me to mark him? He's built like a shoes.
Peace.
Our FFP issues probably came from supplying all Adama's baby oil.
Yeah.
There we go. I'll tell you. The Diddy party, huh?
That's
There we
it.
go. There we
The
go.
Diddy
So
party.
much oil. There was so much oil the Qataris were thinking of investing. Let's go. Right. Give us your bets.
Give us yours first,
I will then.
just so I can fill up me bottle or
I
me cup.
only did 2 bets, and both of them are result on both the score. But
Both of them are.
the reason I did 2 was because I went a little bit left field, and let me see now if these come up. Solves the age-old problem here, isn't it? Right, the first one I did was the Premier League, and then I did a result about the score. You know the way you talk about great odds in the Championship? There's good odds to be had in the League of Ireland as well, let's say.
Oh.
So there we go. So I did...
That's very interesting, isn't it? Now, I
Yeah.
didn't know we were doing League of Ireland bets, by the way.
Well, you can always do one if you want. We don't put any limitations on our content creation.
No, but like... But you didn't give me the Billy to say, Dazzler, later on, I'm going to be doing a League of Ireland bet. You didn't say that, no, you didn't.
I like to surprise you. It's Valentine's.
Yeah.
Right, so I did result about the score. It's a treble and they're all draws. About the score and all draws, right? So I did Brighton versus Chelsea.
Can you see my smile?
Yes.
Do you know why I'm smiling?
Why?
My wife is packing her case for a little trip away.
Oh, yes, are off, yeah, for a little spa weekend, aren't you?
Little spa weekend, yeah. When I'm gonna sit in my robe and my slippers and relax, and
and your gas sock.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yeah, so I did Brighton versus Chelsea, a draw, and I did Fulham versus Nottingham Forest, a draw, and I did Tottenham versus Man United, a draw. And those 3 draws pay 66-1. Result
66-1.
66-1 for that treble.
Right, okay, not bad.
Okay.
Gives you a League of Ireland.
My League of Ireland one was, again, result and both the score. So I went for Galway United to upset Cork away back in the division. I did Shelbourne to edge out Derry, result and both the score. And I was less conscious about the game tonight. And I did Shamrock Rovers and both the score. Rovers versus Bowls. Because my thinking was that they wouldn't feel the weak inside in front of 30,000 in the Aviva.
Think they might,
I'm not disagreeing with you. But
they always start off slow, the Rovers.
Yeah. But that might change. I mean, they must have learned from last season because it caught up on them.
It did. But I think if you offered Rovers the knockout phases in the Europa, or you offered them a league title, they take the Europa knockout spot.
Financially, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, the thing about it is, by the time they're finished in the Europa League anyway, let's say they get to the next round and they go out in the next round, there won't be as too much damage done in terms of their League of Ireland campaign anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we spoke about him last week, Romy. Absolutely. What a deal, and what a deal for the league as well. I lost my smile, Pat McAfee, because Isla Dawn was released. Isla Dawn, sorry. Didn't the Dam and Matthews, who used to play for Celtic, join Shamrock Rovers?
I don't know.
I'm not too sure.
I know Adam Matthews used to play for Celtic, but I'm not sure he joined Rovers. But we could have a look, couldn't we?
I thought that was one we spoke about the other day, and were we not saying, did he not go somewhere else?
No, hang on.
Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, no, he did. He did join them, yeah.
There we go.
He played tonight by the looks of it. Did he play there?
Spot on.
He played lineups. No, he didn't play tonight.
Is he on the bench?
He was on the bench.
There you go. Saving him for
on
Sunday.
The bench. Quite possibly.
Or Saturday. Yeah. No, Sunday, isn't it? Yeah, Sunday. Yeah. Good show, Romy. Good show. I'm learning the Irish League now. I like it. That's what I like to hear.
Good man, Romy.
Right, give us your bets.
Give him my bets. Yeah, I'll pick back up my phone, actually. I've gone with 3.
Okay.
So why don't we do our to score or assist first?
Yeah.
Because that's the lowest priced. You mentioned them earlier on. One Martin Odegaard. Goal or assist.
Okay.
Forest away at Fulham. A guy we've been very impressed with this season. Anthony Elanga.
Good show.
Liverpool at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Players like to score against their old teams, don't they? Diogo Jota. And I'm going to round up out with a guy who has impressed me massively over the last few weeks. I was a fan of this guy, but I'm an even bigger fan having watched him get the slap on the wrist and having watched the reaction after the slap on the wrist. Because you can either stick your head in the sand and bury it and feel like you're being hard done by, or you can decide to pick up a shovel and start fucking digging. And this kid picked up a shovel.
You can either eat your lunch in the car park or you can do something about it.
And he changed the game when he came on the other night in the FA Cup game against Leicester. Came on at half-time, got man of the match, and was very, very good. So I'm going with Alejandro Garnacho. And that pays 25-1.
No problem.
Goal or assist for all 4. So Odegaard, Elanga, Jota, and Garnacho. Nothing crazy, but there's a bit there. Next one is there's a couple of theories here, yeah?
Yeah.
So Chelsea are away at Brighton. And I feel like our boy Mark Cucurella could be due to get a yellow card. And I reckon the Amex is the place for him to do it. Because he'll get a little bit frustrated when the crowd get in his ear and start calling him all these things, you know? And he'll do something stupid, as he regularly does, Mark Cucurella.
Yeah.
So I have Cucurella. I've then gone with the destroyer at the heart of the Man United midfield, Manuel Ugarte. Again, he just loves a yellow card. He just loves them.
There'll be a lot of yellow cards in that midfield battle. You know,
there will. Yeah, there will. And I think looking at it, he's probably the only one I can guarantee he'll play. I think the other three spots are kind of up for grabs between United and Spurs. There could be any combination, but I think it'll be Ugarte. And then we spoke about Marcus Rashford earlier. We spoke about maybe him having a good day at the office. And if he does have a good day at the office, somebody who'll be on the receiving end of that is his ex-Manchester United teammate, one Axel Tuanzebe, who has been playing for Ipswich in that kind of right centre back / right back slot. And I think Axel could have a tough day at the office with young Marcus. And I think he may end up seeing a card. So I've gone Cucurella, I've gone Tuanzebe, and I've gone Ugarte. And that's 30-1 for 3 cards. And then I've rounded out with a big one for you.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you the odds first.
Go on, give me the odds.
80-1.
80-1.
It's a nice big one, isn't it?
It is.
None of these are a stretch Absolutely none of them.
Four games, is it?
4 games,
Okay.
result on both to score. Liverpool at home to Wolves. That's not a stretch, right?
No.
No. Bournemouth away to Southampton. That's definitely not a stretch.
No.
Aston Villa at home to Ipswich. I don't think that's a stretch, Noel, do you?
No.
And I'm rounding out with Lightning. And it's striking twice. And I'm going Brighton and both to score against Chelsea.
Okay.
And that's 80-1.
That's a nice bet.
I think that's a nice bet.
That's a nice bet and really good odds.
Yeah.
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 And tenner there is 800 quid.
Tenner there nearly pay for 2 nights away somewhere nice for the weekend. Look.
Tenner there cover my buffet in Vegas. Just about 80-1 chance of Vinnie Mac and Johnny Ace coming to get you. Listen.
You didn't hear what he said. He just said 800 quid might cover his buffet in Vegas.
I know, man.
Oh, that's
80-1
right
chance
up there.
of Vinnie Mac and Johnny Ace coming to get you.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
That's
lots of talk.
That's
lots
a
of talk.
belter, isn't it? Not a belter.
Vinnie Mac. Vinnie Mac looks like he might be in the clear. There you go.
Well.
Well, yeah. That kind of
he's as in the clear as Judas was, like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
You know he did it, but like there's nothing you can do about it. So
he paid handsomely for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He lost a multi-billion-dollar company over it.
He sure did. Jesus.
There we go. But yeah, so that's it, folks. Another great show. Sorry if there was any background noise. My son is celebrating finishing his mocks, and there's a whole gaggle of people.
You know, I started to hear some noise throughout the show, and I could start to hear a bit, and I was like, "Oh, it's getting louder! It's getting louder!" And I was thinking, if this is the party after the mocks, what's it gonna look like after the leaving cert?
They're off to Santi in Greece for 10 days.
They're off to Zante in Greece for 10 days, right?
They've even booked the bar crawl tours.
Will they need chaperones?
They will need, I don't know, maybe.
We could go over and do the chaperone thing, couldn't we?
That's what Hillary did when he was in Italy for Travis Scott. She was in Lake Garda.
She wasn't.
He was in Milan at Travis Scott, and she was in Lake Garda. If that happened, she was only a quick train driver.
Jesus.
There you go.
There was mates know that. They do now.
They did know, and they appreciate it. Actually, Niall has more people in his house.
I would say Niall has more people in his house than were in the empty had on Tuesday night to watch Real go in without the Vaseline. Put it that way.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, so that's the story anyway. Great show, folks. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video, and continue to hate everything. I'd appreciate it. Until next time, folks, this is the Michael Oliver Hour, and we're signing off here. So subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, drop a like on the video, and if you
think we could get him on for an interview,
just yellow card you if you don't.
We get him on for an interview.
By the way, here's a little plug for you.
Oh,
we are getting on for a show in the next week or two. One John Temple, the owner of Dundalk, and we will be talking about last season.
Well, I'm glad you told me who he was, because if you didn't, I wouldn't have had a fucking brace.
But you knew about what happened at the end of last season and those games and stuff like that and all, and the punch up and the anger and the aggression.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't know the man's name. But I did know the carry on, let's say.
Yeah, Mark is quite friendly with him. He was in at Mark the other day getting fitted for a suit, so he said he would come on for us. So Mark's going to tie him down when he collects.
Is it a wipe-proof material, like, in case there's any bloodshed on it or whatever? Or
it's one of those Roman Reigns vests. Oh, the shield. We're talking Dundalk
with the
here.
big red spider in the middle of it.
This is Dundalk we're talking about here. This ain't Bray Wanderers. This is Dundalk we're talking about. Those boys don't take any prisoners. There we go. Well, until next time, folks, enjoy the football at the weekend or whatever it is you're getting up to. I hope you all have a lovely Valentine's Day and you get spoiled. And if you don't get spoiled, spoil yourself.
Enjoy work tomorrow, everybody, because I'm not going. I'm not going.
I'm going to be hitting now. I'm going to be hitting.
Going.
Rosanna's going to be sending me pictures now with Darren lying on his front with these hot stones down his back and all sorts of stuff. And probably one of those.
I'd say there's more chance of Rosanna sending you a picture with Darren with hot scones in his hand, not hot stones on his back.
Two of those little vanilla tea lights, one on each cheek of the arse and all. And good Lord. There we go. On the next one. I think it should be made get waxed. I am jealous.
Now backsack and crack leak.
Rough, innit?
Oof, Jesus.
These are the things we do. Right, folks, enjoy it. You enjoy your trip away with Rosanna. No doubt I'll be updated.
Oh, I will.
Every hour. I don't appreciate your wife taking my husband away on Valentine's weekend. I don't appreciate that at all. There you go.
Did you hear what he said? What did he say?
I don't really appreciate you taking my husband away.
Well, listen, both you have a lovely time. You've well
We
earned
will.
it.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
Talk to you soon, folks. Take it easy.
Quality.